Out a blog called perdaily.com. I've been doing it for the last 3 years. This is Francisco Arellano, who was a teacher and is still technically a teacher for the Los Angeles Unified School District. One of the responsibilities of being a member of a democratic society is that you cannot give up your responsibility to make certain judgments. So today, I would like you to judge what you think is going on here. We have had at Per Daily hundreds of teachers contacting us and talking about how they were targeted for removal on bogus charges. Are these teachers perverts, or are they fairly compensated professional teachers that the Superintendent John Deasy and the board are trying to get rid of in order to bring down the cost of doing business at LAUSD? You be the judge. This is Francisco Arellano. Francisco,
Hello.
You have been removed from being a teacher for LAUSD. What were the charges against you?
Well, they came up with some morals charges. They invoked Education Code 44939 and basically said that an incident that occurred in my classroom makes me an immoral teacher, someone who shouldn't be teaching a classroom.
Okay, now for those of you who are not aware of this, those of you who are teachers and are members of the union, by simply charging a teacher with a violation of the morals code under Education Code section 44939, you immediately leapfrog over all their collective bargaining rights. They have no right to a grievance, they have no right to arbitration, and the district moves in a very teacher-unfriendly process, and I might say a process that is violating the teacher's civil rights. And let me give you an example of how. Mr. Arellano, how many years ago, or how many years have you been involved in this process?
I was removed in the year 2008, and I spent approximately 3.5 years in a reassignment center, what we teachers have called the rubber room, and it's sort of like a Guantanamo with a paycheck.
Okay, so you've been put in this, and what was the justification the district was using to keep you in this rubber room?
Well, they said that it was what's best for the educational program.
Based on what criteria?
They did not give me any criteria. The incident that occurred was two students of mine in the classroom came up to me and gave me a hug, told me what a great teacher I was, and the principal was in the room at the time, and she saw this. We conferenced about it that day after school. She told me that it looked like I was doing something wrong, but she thought that I was being very professional in what I was doing, and she left me in the classroom for 6 more days. Not until the 7th day did an administrator from the local District 2 offices appear in the office instead of the principal, and she was the one who reassigned me to the local District 2 offices, and effectively removing me from the classroom and putting me in like a detention-like setting with no duties, no responsibilities, just here's a desk, sit down at a desk, and get paid to do nothing.
And because you're being paid, it's deemed that this is not punishment, but do you think you're being punished?
Oh, it's absolutely punishment. Every teacher that I have seen go through this process goes through some form of shock, trauma, and ordeal. I myself have had sleepless nights, cold and hot sweats. Imagine being thrown into the midst of an investigation and you have not done anything wrong.
Well, in speaking of the investigation, one must wonder how long it takes to investigate. How long were you in a rubber room?
I was in the rubber room for approximately 3.5 years.
So it takes, in 3.5 years, they keep you there, but they are unable to do a speedy investigation in deference to your rights to due process under the Constitution. You are kept locked in this room, And lots of teachers, one of the things we've experienced at Per Daily is a lot of teachers just throw up their hands and resign. And one of the things the district does on a regular basis, matter of fact, in terms of all communications, they send out a form asking you to resign. And it has been our experience that the district has been very successful in getting people to resign. Another question that this brings up is, the charge against you was that these two girls in your class had jumped up on your lap and given you a hug and told you what a great teacher you were. This was considered to be an improper act. Do you have any insight into what was really going on, why the district was really targeting you for removal?
Well, I have a good idea why they were targeting me for removal, and that is because they probably consider me a threat to their authority. I was a teacher who had tremendous support from the community and from the parents. The students in my classroom were known to have 100% attendance every month because they enjoyed coming to my classroom. They always felt that they were receiving a quality education, and the parents strongly supported that also. However, the school district, I think, targets individuals like myself who speak up for the community, who tend to blow the whistle and say, wait a minute, something's wrong here. There's going to be an accident. Somehow children are going to get damaged in the process. And sort of like a car horn, you honk the horn to let them know that something is going to go wrong. But unfortunately, in the LAUSD culture, people like myself get targeted for removal for doing things that actually help the students or the community.
Well, it kind of stands to reason that if we are 44 years after the Latino walkouts in East Los Angeles, and Latino education is worse than it ever was, and assuming that Latino children and black children have the same potential that white and Asian children have, if they're not succeeding, there has to be a reason why. And that has to do, I would think, with the dumbing down of LAUSD culture to a form of daycare. So the question I would ask you is this: to what extent do you think you were targeted because you actually tried to give a rigorous education to Latino and minority children in your charge?
Well, there would be no other explanation. Their allegations and their charges against me are completely unfounded. They are not telling the truth. It makes me wonder, why would this occur to me? Well, one of the things I saw as being a member of the teacher jail or the rubber room is that most of the individuals that ended up there tended to be veteran teachers. They also tended to be male, and they tended to be people who were at top of the pay scale. In other words, the most qualified and the most expensive of all the teachers.
So one could say that if you get rid of teachers at the top of the salary scale, you would be able to literally hire more than 2 teachers for what you pay a teacher at the top of the salary scale.
You know, on the surface that sounds good, but the problem is that we know for a fact that most teachers only last 5 years. And after that, they leave the profession. Most of them can't take it.
To what extent would you say that potentially good teachers are being forced out of the profession simply because discipline is not maintained, simply because of things like social promotion where kids in their classes are inappropriately placed and disrupt the class because they are incapable of being engaged at a higher grade level?
What I am seeing right now is that teachers are not being removed for any of the reasons that teachers should be removed. It has nothing to do with the quality of instruction, their competence, or even how well they run their classrooms. It has to do with reducing the amount of costs that this school district is involved in.
Well, I want to thank you, Mr. Arellano, for spending the time with us today. And if you or someone you know is being targeted by the Los Angeles Unified School District, You can sit around like an ostrich with your head in a hole and hope that nothing will happen to you. But given the volume of calls that I'm receiving, you're deluding yourself. Please feel free to get in touch at Lenny, that's Lenny, at perdaily.com, and we will see if we can get you some legal help. It is my belief that the people at the Los Angeles Unified School District will not stop doing what they are doing, which is a blatant violation of law and civil rights of both the students and the teachers, unless they are stopped. From their point of view, why change? If it ain't broken, why fix it? They are getting rid of 853 teachers last year. They paid very little to do that. And from their point of view, the violation of teachers' civil rights, the same way Mr. Arellano's was and the way mine were, is something that works just fine. Unless you step up and say something. We can protect your identity. We can put this out into the public, but only if you stand up and speak. Look forward to hearing from you. Lenny at perdaily.com. Thanks.
Thank you, Lenny.